Am I the for not wanting my girlfriend to have a free holiday with her ex? It seems like there are so many men now that get walked all over and they write these things like, am I in the wrong? Like there's no self-confidence in the male game anymore. Why is that?
I think these men do not have any positive male role models.
Who do you think holds the power in modern dating?
Men hold 100% of the power at all times. They just don't realize it.
I make like roughly the same amount as you do, 2.1 in a good month. I mean, I don't like just the thing, like I don't have to ask guys to like make that much.
These women would be nothing without the men paying for it.
And when they crash out, they become the fat blue-haired feminists that are now 45 and no man wants, and they do these social causes to find meaning in their lives because no one else pays attention to them.
The inherent fact that men are evil, that is true. Like man as a whole is evil.
If a man said the same thing, he'd be called a misogynist. There'd be news stories about him. Oh, he's the worst thing ever. So you're only hearing really the crazy women.
Sometimes the crazy attracts a lot of attention.
So how do we reverse this trend as a guy?
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to a brand new edition of the Jedediah Bila Show. It's a feisty show today. We have a very special guest who is joining us today. He goes by Joker, which I think is kind of awesome, especially, you know, I do like some Batman, if you know what I'm saying. So, and he also goes as Better Bachelor. He has an awesome channel where he talks about a lot of the same stuff and some different stuff that we talk about. I think he also has another channel that's political. I'm not sure if that's still active, but Joker, welcome to the Jedediah Bila Show. I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you very much. And you know, you did the same thing everybody does. They assume Joker means the crazy guy from Batman. I actually got my nickname from Saving Private Ryan. When I was in the military, I was a smart and my drill sergeant nicknamed me Joker, and it stuck ever since. So
I like that.
Different.
Well, though I do fancy the Joker from Batman. I mean, he's crazy, but, you know, crazy can be appealing, as we see with some of these ladies that we're going to cover. I mean, sometimes the crazy attracts a lot of attention. So we're going to talk today a lot about, it is a reaction show, so I do want to be able to have you react to some content, get your live reaction. Obviously, you haven't seen any of this before, but we have an OF compilation that is deeply disturbing, but I want to talk about it from the angle of the guys that are funding these things. And we also had some stuff from Rich Cooper that was interesting, and my very favorite, Drew Afwalo, lead feminist on TikTok, who has some stuff to say, and she kind of exposes herself as a man hater. So we're going to get to all of that. First and foremost, I just want to ask you, there's a lot of people in this space talking about, you know, gender dynamics, talking about men, women, all this stuff. What is your goal in this space? Like, what do you hope when people watch at Better Bachelor? Like, what do you want the takeaway to be? And who do you see as your audience?
You know, I never really gave that much thought, I suppose. I don't have any mission or anything so grand, I guess. I kind of feel like I'm an idiot out in the middle of the woods, expressing my opinions on dynamics of everything. And maybe the best takeaway would be for men to stop worrying about women's society expectations, their value, and do what's right for themselves. Because if you can make yourself happy, if you can find your niche in life, and you can be comfortable in your own skin without worrying about outside influences or opinions, you're likely going to be happy no matter what comes at you. Whereas,
let me ask you this quick question. And I don't know what you're willing to share on this, but I think it informs a lot. Like I'm 46. I'm married. I have a 5-year-old. That having a child informed a lot of how I feel about these things. Do you mind sharing just where you're coming at and you know, what your life looks like in any way that would inform? Like, for example, I find it really interesting when I talk to Rollo, because he's talking about this content, but he's been married for like 20 plus years, which is very different from a lot of the guys in the space who are single and young and kind of on the prowl a bit. So what is the context from which we will hear from you today?
Well, in my 20s, I got married I was in the military. I had my wild times. I married at 21. That lasted, and it was a very bad choice on my part. I went for looks rather than skull candy. And I ended up getting divorced about 6 months later. She left me and did her own thing. And
Did
then
she cheat on you?
Yes. Yeah.
Nasty.
Yeah, it happens. From then in my 20s, I I don't respect women. I don't really care much for women. When it comes to appreciating them or at their finer points, I basically hit the gym, dressed to the nines, and played the part, and went out and just hooked up and slept around most of my 20s. And I found that I wasn't in a good headspace. And I which led me to believe a lot of my friends at the time also were doing something similar, and none of them were really happy. It was more of a way to fill your own void by filling it with the love and admiration of women, sleeping with them and being popular with them and whatever. I tried marriage again. I settled down, got out of that, tried marriage again. That one lasted 8 years. I was divorced by 35. She fell in love with her career and fell out of love with me. And she was earning more than I did eventually. And she had her PhD and she was doing very well for herself. And so those statistics fall in line with everything else. And then after that, I just decided to, for the most part, stay single and worry about myself. And the better I was doing, I found the more attention I got from women, whether I was interested in them or not. And then now I'm in a 4-year relationship. I guess we're about at 4 years. She's 26. I'm 52. She has a body count of 1, which you can obviously do the math on that one. She's more conservative. She's more traditional, and I didn't chase after her. She kind of chased after me. So, or at least started the.
So let me ask you: the first two, the one super young, and then the one in the 30s. Had you chased after them?
Yes, yeah.
So you were pursuing them. So that's an interesting note for the guys too, because there's a lot of talk about should men be pursuing women or should men wait and see who comes to pursue them, and does that change the power dynamic from the get-go to be advantageous to the guy? It's kind of like who needs to love who more conversation. But you're saying it worked out. Now, maybe that's also because you found a traditional woman, your past experience with a career woman driven by career, obviously not that great in terms of prioritizing the marriage and whatnot. You don't have any children, though. Am I correct?
No children. Just a dog napping next to me.
It's like a child. Listen, I've had a dog. Sometimes the dog is more work than the child. Just saying. All right. So that's good context. I think people appreciate the sharing of the personal stuff. And also it contextualizes when you comment on stuff like you are in a relationship, you have been married, you have, been left, frankly. You understand what it's like to be with a career woman. You understand what it's like to be cheated on. These are valuable assets in the conversation. So I want to do the reaction content first, because that's often an offshoot to other discussions. And I saw this post by Rich Cooper, and I don't know if it was a Reddit. It was his status. I'm not sure what it was, but it's number 1, Ben, if you want to reference that. I'm going to read it for the audience because they can't see it. And it's basically AITI, am I the right? This guy is writing in. And he says, am I the for not wanting my girlfriend to have a free holiday with her ex? So I've been dating my current girlfriend for about 9 months or so. And her ex-boyfriend that she broke up with about 6 months before we started dating has recently started talking to her again. I don't feel partially comfortable about this, as I believe he wants to get back with her, duh. But they have only seen each other a few times in a group setting, so I haven't seen it as a big deal up to this point. Earlier today, she approached me. Oh, it gets better. Saying she needed to talk to me. She explained that her ex-boyfriend was offering a holiday with her to apologize for treating her badly in the past. He's offering to pay for the plane ticket. Oh, I'm sure, honey. I talked with her, and she agrees that she thinks he's trying to start something between them. But they will stay in separate rooms, and a free holiday is an extremely good offer she doesn't want to turn down. I feel extremely mixed about this. I understand her wanting to go, but it makes me extremely uncomfortable and upset, as well as feeling disrespected. I am even contemplating ending things, as it would make things easier for the both of us. What do I do? Okay, Joker. My first problem with this is what happened to this guy that he needs to write this, right? He needs the advice. Like, he doesn't see the writing on the wall right here that obviously this woman still has feelings for this guy, that she's even contemplating going on a holiday with her ex-boyfriend. And why is he unable to just say, honey, listen, if you feel at all like you have unresolved issues with this guy and you want to take a holiday, I don't care if you're sleeping in separate rooms, that's not going to work for me. That's not going to work, A, so it's not going to happen. And B, if you want it to happen, then I'm out. I'm not staying around for this charade. Why can't guys just exert that. It seems like there are so many men now that get walked all over, and they write these things like, am I in the wrong? Like, there's no self-confidence in the male game anymore. Why is that?
Well, I think if you look at young men today, single motherhood is, almost 50%, 45, 50% of young men, or kids today, I should say, are raised by single mothers. So they're not getting that advice. They're not getting that spine, that backbone, or anything, at least a large number of them, from father figure. Number two, if you look at teaching, I believe it's 80, 85% females now. You've got the feminist movement moving through schools. Young men are told that they're the wrongs of the world, especially if they're straight and they're white. You've got all strikes against you at that point. They move into college, same thing. The feminization and the message has moved all through the colleges and the universities. And so young man stepping out at the age of 22 to 24, whenever he leaves university, has likely never had any type of male mentors, somebody that has been through the ropes and can teach men that being self-confident and being strong and being assertive is not toxic. It's what men should be. And so he comes out and he's just got no idea of how men should actually act. And in a circumstance like this, many of us that talk about this type of topic would say, well, it's already too late. She's already slept with him or gone on dates with him. Something rekindled it. She's likely already cheated on you. And to not be able to see that just from the asking, we've said many times, well, if a woman asks for an open relationship, it's already over. And so I think these men do not have any positive male role models, and they don't know where to find them anymore. So they ask the four winds on Reddit or put up a TikTok video because they don't have a friend group where at least one or two people have had that experience, maybe a little bit older, and there's really no social programs for men. Every club that men have created where men can speak freely and say jokes that are inappropriate and talk about topics that are taboo, they've all been invaded by women. So there's very few places like I could go to when you're young. And even a lot of the content here on YouTube, for many years, my content was either demonetized, set for 18 years or older. And I wasn't saying I hate anybody or, be mean, or it was just saying stand up for yourself and push back against the feminism. And even sometimes that was too much for YouTube. So anywhere young men especially, turn to, there's no answers for them anywhere.
I think that's a great point. I used to teach as well, and that whole world is just so brainwashed. I mean, the guys in the classroom are just like, they don't even know what to do. Honestly, it's like they're being attacked underhandedly or overtly on a regular basis. I think it's really important also, the male friends, for guys to have guys that they can talk to and say, what the hell's going on here? Like, somebody that's not just a random stranger online. But the point that you made that's most, I think, important here, and I hope guys hear it, is that when a woman is really into you, this is not rocket science. You see it, you feel it. A woman who's really into you is not going to be asking to take a holiday to resolve old issues with an ex-boyfriend. She's not going to be looking, that would not appeal to her in any way because she's so wrapped up in you that it's just not even on her radar. Like, the ex is dead. Like, it's just not even interesting. If a woman is coming to you and saying, oh, I have this unresolved stuff with my ex, I really think just like one phone conversation, or A, something's already happened, they've had the text exchanges, something's going on that you don't know about, and B, she's got one foot out the door, right? She's not into you, and she's hoping, this woman in this story is hoping that she goes on that vacation, something gets rekindled, apologies are made, and she's going to be back with that guy in a hot minute, and this guy writing this email is going to be left twiddling his thumbs. I think we can all see it. It's just fascinating to me that even at this level of absurd, right? And I think that's probably why Rich Cooper posted it. This level of absurd that, like, an ex-boyfriend asking for a holiday and saying he's going to pay for it. And the guy is still like, well, am I being too strict? I mean, at that level, you should just, wake up, man, alive. It's like, what is going on? Comments.
Well, I think something that men are, at least I think many men are starting to pick up on now, is there seems to be a very similar pattern that's going on in the dating world. It's very in vogue to to pick on men. You see TikTok videos, you see the man on the street interview talking to women, and they say, oh, we don't need men, and men are worthless, and men are all these awful things. Yet this is coming from a girl that is out there in a miniskirt and a tight top, going to clubs, getting hit on by men. So it doesn't seem like that would really correspond very well. But what's happening in the dating world is we joke about the 80-20 rule, which is now becoming the 90-10 rule or the 95-5 rule, which is women are really sleeping with and chasing the top 5% of men. And those men are sleeping with them, and they're having their fun, and then they're dumping them. And when that happens to young women enough times, they start opening their horizons. Number one, they say they hate all men, even though they really don't see the 80% of men that are, the sanitation workers and the power line workers and the guys that get their fingernails dirty. They don't see them as men. They just don't exist to these women. So the women see 10 or 20% of men and think of them as all men. And then when those men sleep with them and use them and dump them, instead of learning from that mistake and saying, I'm making why are all these guys sleeping with me and dumping with me? There should be a moment of clarity where a woman says, maybe it is me. Maybe I'm doing something wrong here. Maybe I should expand my dating pool. Instead of doing that, they just come out and hate all men. And then they go right back around and sleep with other men thinking, well, I dated this one guy for a little while, or I dated this other one and we hooked up. And so in this situation, this guy's probably he's higher. I mean, there's hypergamy. Women only really date up. So she dated up and he dated down and he slept with her and he got tired of her and dumped her. And now maybe he's on a dry spell. Maybe he's a narcissist and just wants to pull her strings a little bit and see if he can get her back and maybe ruin this other guy's life because it's funny to him. We don't always know what people are thinking. And that's the guy she really wants to be with, instead of realizing the guy that actually loves her and would care for her and would put her on a somewhat of a pedestal. She's going to dump and cheat on and leave. And men are seeing this as women are sleeping with the top men and dating the top men until they can't anymore. And then they're settling for the provider, the father role, whatever. And this guy doesn't realize he was being settled for, and he can't see it.
Who do you think holds the power in modern dating? A lot of people talk about, and we're going to get to the OF girls and how much money they're making, and, the women who get a ton of attention online, guys sliding into the DMs left and right, the women who are being extremely picky about men right now and saying, I need, a long list of things because they're getting so much attention. They have these inflated egos. So many feel women are holding all the power. They have the upper hand. And other people feel like, well, no, actually, it's the guys who ultimately have the power, because these women kind of burn out, and the guys are, they'll make a decision to use a woman, but then they'll drop them like a hot potato. And women are on a much more significant time frame when it comes to having kids and whatever. So, there's a desperation that happens. Bottom line is, who really holds the power at the end of the day?
Men hold 100% of the power at all times. They just don't realize it.
So what do you say then to the guys who feel powerless because they say, I'm having a hard time getting a date, and this girl, who's an average girl, 5 or 6 with a shit personality, somehow has all of these guys sliding into her DMs and all the options in the world, and I can't get a date on a Saturday night? Those guys don't feel powerful. So what do you say to them?
Sure, but for the woman that is sleeping with the men, of 5 or 6 that's sleeping with an 8 or 9, and that's the guy she wants to date. If there's an 8 guy deciding, I'm gonna waste some time, I'm just gonna sleep with her and hook up with her. In that dynamic, who has the power, the man or the woman?
The guy.
Right. When she continually does that and ends up being alone, does she have any power in that situation? No. Now, what about the guy that says, I want a girlfriend, but I'm not going to settle for a woman with a high body count. I'm not going to settle for a woman that's gone out there and slept with all these men. She says she's settling for me, but in reality, she dated out of her range. I'm actually settling for someone that's kind of used goods. The problem is there are men that sleep down. Okay, we can say those men have the power to do that, but it's being misused, right? They're the ones that may be messing up the market a little bit. If those men those 8s, 9s, 10s, decided, I'm not going to sleep with anybody anymore. I'm just going to be a good man looking for a good woman, and if I don't find one, I'm going to do my own thing. Those women have lost all their OnlyFans money. They've lost all their supporters. They've lost all their viewers. They've lost the likes on their Instagram and their TikTok pages. They've lost all the validation. They're powerless. But it takes the men withholding sleeping down with them. It takes the men not simping and buying their OnlyFans content.
But they're not doing it. So in the grand scheme of things, if you say as a concept, do men hold the power? I'm with you. I think they hold all the power, because if guys don't spend the money, like you're saying on the OnlyFans, she'd have no butt. She'd have to do something else, right?
Right.
It wouldn't amount to anything. If the guys go to the bar and don't pay, the 304s or the girls that are just looking for something, or the gold diggers, if they don't give them time, then those women learn, oh, this isn't working. Like I need to, maybe it's not just about my looks. Maybe I need to behave differently. Maybe I need to offer something and bring something to the table. If guys get used to saying, what do you bring to the table, honey? You want all these things from me? Oh, what do you got? And they're not afraid to say that, then women will learn, yes, I also need to provide something, or I'm not going to be valuable to him and I'm not going to be chosen. So I agree with you as a concept, but they're not doing it. So what's happening is in the actual dating marketplace, it's not working out like that, because these girls are making a shit ton of money on OnlyFans. These girls are treating these guys like garbage because they can. These guys, it's like the guys have just acquiesced all of the power that is inherently theirs and just handed it over. And how does that dynamic get flipped?
Well, part of, like, if you look at, so the red pill is a concept that covers many different categories, right? To the point where almost two people won't agree on what the red pill or manosphere or men's content is. Yeah. But if you move away from that mindset, we talk about men going their own way, MGTOW, right? And is that
you? Do you fit in that?
I think a lot of men in the red pill content do, but it's a philosophy. It's not a movement. It's not an ideology. It's just a philosophy.
But you have a girlfriend, so you're not really going your own, right?
But that's the thing. There are guys that are going their own way. What does that mean? If you think about it, some guys avoid women at all costs. Some men only sleep with women, but they're going to live their best life doing their best thing. Some guys say, I'm never going to get married. Some guys say, I'm never going to have kids. So, some guys are married, but they are the head of the household, as in a very traditional sense, like 1950s head of household, and it's my way or the highway, and the wife, takes care of the kids, and I make all the big decisions in life. All of those things are men doing their thing in one way or another, and it means different things for different men. So there are MGTOW, or men going their own way. They're those purists that would say, oh, he's not really a man going his own way. He's dating, or it's kind of it's like red pill. It's ethereal. It's just a mindset. And so if you have that mindset, for example, if these women are saying, I'm a 6 and I've been sleeping with a bunch of 7, 8, 9s, and I don't want to settle for someone that's my level, quote unquote. I got to move my quotes in closer because my arms are out here. If she says, I'm not going to settle for a guy that's a 5 or 6 because I can sleep with these other guys. How does a man take control of that? Because he says, I don't have control. It's simple. Reverse the mindset. Do you want to chase after and date a woman with a high body count that's been sleeping with men above her value, as it were? If you look at it, if you change the framing and look at it from that direction, you say, actually, no, she's being used by other men. She's passing herself around to these other guys, thinking she can capture one. She never will. Those men know it. We know it. She doesn't know it. So if you come from the mindset of actually, you know what? Yeah, I haven't slept with a bunch of women, or I may only be this as a man. But if you're happy, if you've got friends, if you've got a good social circle, if you've got maybe family, if you've got a good pet, if you have hobbies and interests and you love your life, why would you settle for that 5 or 6 after she's ruined herself with these other playboys, or players, I guess you'd say in my day.
Yeah. In my day too.
and that's how it's all about the framing and your mindset about it. And so if you're a young man saying, I can't get any women, take a look at the women you're looking at or desiring or wanting to be with. And like in the blurb you just read there, this man should be saying, well, if she wants to go back to the ex, am I failing as a man? Am I not meeting her needs? And in reality, yes, that is the answer. But how about changing it up, saying she thinks she's got a little fishing lure and a little 5-pound, reel, and she's trying to catch a whale, and she's never going to catch that whale. She thinks she is, but that guy's just going to play with her and dump her, and then she'll come sniffing back again. And once you have self-confidence and your belief system is from within, not from without, you'll be fine. It's just worrying about the validation of women, social media, the news, the government, any of these other entities. If you need them to say you're okay, you're not okay. You have
I think what concerns me in all of this is the male mindset now, and what you're talking about how men are looking at the situation versus how they should be looking at the situation. Because I am somebody that does believe that men should lead, right? I have a strong belief in that. And when you are a man who has your head on straight, you can be an incredible leader, and women should be able to look to men as leaders. But I'm having a really hard time with that when I see how many guys are now looking at everything through a feminist lens. Like, they have ceased to see things as they are, and they're just falling into the fold. Like, oh, I'm supposed to support a woman's career path no matter what, even if it's not the best decision for the children. That's what I'm supposed to do. So that's what they become. That's what they then see their relationship through that lens. Oh, all of these women have all of this attention, and I'm not getting the attention, so I have to try harder to get on her radar. They're seeing everything through a lens of how to get the woman, how to please the woman, how to say what's appropriate societally to not offend women. And as a result, you have no male leaders. You have guys spending a boatload of money on OF, and you have women who are now in these positions where they're very unlikable. They're losing their femininity. They're taking advantage of men. They're man-hating. They're doing all sorts of things that it's like these women who needed that leader have lost it, and now they're leading the way, and it's not a good look. It's just not a good look what's happening. I mean, and I want to get to this OF content because it addresses this. So, Ben, I'm going to ask you to poll number 2. I want to watch this compilation, and then I want to just take a look at a YouTube. And then a tweet. And I think it's a really important, just bear with me, Joker, while we unfold this, and then we're going to get your reaction. But let's go to number 2, that first compilation. These are 2 very famous girls in the OF space. Millions and millions and millions of dollars and millions of followers. Let's take a listen to that first one on that Instagram. A few months ago, a friend of mine's credit card got stolen. It was a total nightmare, wreaked havoc on their whole family. Financial security was threatened, everything. And I said, why didn't you get Aura? She should have. She has it now. Identity theft, by the way, is happening every 14 seconds in America. That's an astounding stat. On this show, I want to protect you from identity theft. I want to protect your privacy. I want to protect your financial security. I'm excited to share this partnership. I told you I'd never promote something on the show that I don't use. I use Aura for my family. My parents now use it. My extended family at large, my friends, everyone. Aura is identity theft protection, fraud monitoring, a VPN, password management, and antivirus software, and it's all in one app. And I'm not terribly tech savvy, as you know. If I can do it, you can do it. It's super duper user friendly. Aura monitors the dark web for your emails, your passwords, and social security numbers, and sends alerts right to your phone or your email if something is going down that's shady. So if someone opens a credit card in your name, for example, Aura sends you a real-time alert. The VPN also lets you stay anonymous online by keeping your browsing history, very important, and personal info safe and encrypted. You all know I talk a lot about the system, about the death of privacy. This is a way to protect that privacy. Check this out. Aura found my passwords on the dark web 40 times. 40 times. That's scary stuff. If you're curious how many times your passwords are on the dark web, and you should be, right? You got passwords in your bank accounts, all sorts of stuff you don't want people coming in and finding out. If you're curious, I want you today to go to aura.com/Jedediah. Also link below in the show description. And if you sign up right now with my link, Aura is going to give you a 2-week free trial. 2 weeks to see how many times your passwords are on the dark web. You can't lose. There's nothing to lose. And if you sign up, let me know in the comments. I want to know how many times your passwords were found. Come on, we got to know this stuff. I hope you'll take advantage of this amazing offer. The system may be out to get you. I am here to protect your privacy, your security, and all that. Aura.com/Jedediah. You have absolutely nothing to lose. Go find out if your passwords have been compromised.
I make like roughly the same amount as you do, like 2.1 on a good month.
You may or may not be lying, but
I mean, I don't like just the thing. Like, I don't have to 1,000 guys to like make that much.
yeah, but I've got 1,000 reasons more to enjoy my job.
I mean, like that's great, but like I still have never gotten all my holes filled to make $2 million.
Yeah, but
Could you imagine if I did though? I'd probably be like double.
Could you imagine?
You can't undo the. You can't undo it. I could and make an extra $1 million.
You also can't get the embarrassment back from those TikTok dancers.
And that's fine.
We both know it's not pink down there.
Fuchsia. There's literally a procedure where you dye it. Like, I'm not even with you. You can get it plumped and then you just dye it.
Oh, well, no one would ever see because your OF has no tapes on.
You just haven't bought the full one.
Okay, stop that for a second. Now that's Bonnie Blue, and her name is Camila Araujo. I don't know if I'm saying that. I want to say it with a Spanish. Araujo is what you would say if she was Colombian, or I think she is Colombian. I'm not sure. Okay, disgusting, right? Disgusting that these girls are these $2.1 million a month is what she said. Okay, now look over at that second link. This is Camila's. She has. I want to just pull up her YouTube. She has 9 million plus followers. 9 million on YouTube. Okay. And let's pull that that third video there you see where it says with Julia Filippo. I want to pull that too and listen to it. This is a girl, Julia, who started an OnlyFans, and she's going to tell you how much money she made in month 1. And I just want to listen to how these girls talk. Listen to what has happened to society when women are making the money.
Everyone knows you made $54,000 in a week. I need to know what the month ended like. $400,000. Is that good? Is that good?
Is that good? She doesn't even, 400K. 400K, like it's a big joke. Is that good? Okay. Now we saw all that. Now I see this tweet, and then I'm going to toss it to Joker. I see this tweet in response to one of these exchanges with Camilla. I think it was Camilla and Bonnie Blue. It might have been a different pairing of two, very successful off girls. Let's pull that tweet. The tweet reads, "This is why God said that men need to be in charge." Okay. Now, there is clearly something wrong with modern day women. Okay. This is what's happening. Now, Joker, here's my problem with this. I wholeheartedly agree something has gone afoul here. Women have lost their way. And this is, by the way, not a dig at every woman. I am a woman. I'm not a woman hater. I'm here to stand up for the good girls. I'm here to stand up for women who behave well. I'm here to stand up for all of that, right? I'm a believer in motherhood and the beauty, all that stuff, right? I don't need to caveat that for my audience, but I will here. You don't know me that well, but there has been a problem here that women are now leading in society, and this is what we see. This is what they're embracing, the easy way out, the low-hanging fruit, whatever it may be. However, if your inclination is to say this is why men need to lead, again, these women would be nothing without the men paying for it. So my concern is, who do people look to lead? Where are the guys? Where are the men saying, "Ugh, you girls are disgusting. I wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole. A, I'm not going to fund you. You're pathetic. B, I'm not going to wife you up. C, you're going to learn the hard way that this is going to tarnish your reputation. And D, I'm not sending this message to young women that you do this and you get a boatload of cash and a ton of attention from men. I'm not going to give you the time of day." Where are those guys?
Well, there are a couple places. Number one, you've met a lot of them, as you've said. You've met Rollo. You've talked with Rich Cooper. You've talked with many men in this kind of arena. Why do you think Andrew Tate is so popular right now, and why the media and governments are going after the guy? Because he resonates in some ways. And granted, I don't agree with everything he says by far, but at least he's the loudest and the most followed voice out there. There are a large segment of men that are speaking out against this. I mean, you can even go to conservatives. Matt Walsh talks about this stuff on the Daily Wire. Matter of fact, he started, I posted about this the other day on my Twitter. He's starting to parrot red pill talking points of, if a woman makes more than you, she's going to leave 50% of
It's true.
Or divorce. Yes, but he's coming around to it. When you've got a married man of 6 kids that is very religious and is on Daily Wire, when he's starting to talk about this stuff, you realize we are getting a market saturation out there. Even if you can't pinpoint this loud voice or this loud voice, a lot of times it's young men just laughing at it and because one guy can get that message and he shares it he posts below a video, he says something, and other people start picking it up. So I think there's a lot of little voices out there.
But is it the majority? Is it the majority of guys, do you think? Like, you're talking about Matt Walsh, fair. You're talking about Rollo. I'm sure, Rollo's not paying for this, as we know. You're not paying for it. But is it the majority?
Yeah, I believe so. Because when you look at, let's look at a successful guy. Let's look at a guy that's, he's got his money, depending on the age, depending on the income. But let's say a man is a better than average earner. Let's say he's a little bit better looking. Let's say he's doing well for himself. Is he paying for this kind of stuff? No. But is he posting about it? No. Why? Because he's got a good life. He's got better things to do than sit on social media and X all day. He's actually working a job he loves. He's hitting the gym. He's probably sleeping with women he wants to sleep with. So he's not out there giving any type of message. He's living a good life. And I think the more men, look, when I first started doing my content, and this is not I always have to preface this because other people say, you're just whining. When I started doing this content, I would get my minimum views on a video, 200,000. A bad video would be 100,000. I have several videos over 1 million views. Now, 30,000 to maybe 100,000. Why the fall off? Because men get it. Men have heard this now. They go and see memes about it, and they see TikTok videos about it and Twitter, and now to the point where guys go, yeah, I get it. Like, I don't need to hear about it anymore. I get it. I see it. I understand. I get the message. Why am I going to keep listening to you? And yes, some still tune in because of the crazy stories and like you do, showing the crazy clips. But a lot of men have said, yeah, I get it. Now, are they out there fighting the good fight on social media? And no, they just move on with their lives. And that's why I think men ultimately will have the power. I'm certainly no God's gift to women at the tender age of 52. I'm 20 pounds heavier than I should be. I've obviously was losing my hair, so I decided to shave it. In all metrics, I am the antithesis to what women want. I'm short, I'm bald, I've gained some weight, but I don't care because my internal struggle is over. I love who I am. I like what I do. I love my hobbies. I love where I am in life. And so as more men find that, the less they're arguing online, the less they're posting about it. And so if you take someone like Sophia, whatever her name is, I forget the young lady that claims she's a virgin and she's on OnlyFans. Okay, let's say she makes $1 million a month at $10 a pop. What's that, 100,000 guys out of 4 billion men? It only takes a very small subset to fund these lavish lifestyles by these women. And to that man, he says, well, yeah, I'm out $10. I don't care if she's rich or not. I get the pleasure of seeing her sans clothing and I get to, whatever. To that guy, it's only $10. Now, to her, yes, she's accumulating millions. But at the end of the day, after that guy spends his $10, he looks at it, he does whatever he wants to. If he rolls out and has a good life and a happy life and a bunch of friends and he's still doing well in life, people will look at this woman and say, oh, she's doing great in life. Yeah, she's 23 and she's hot. Yes, she's making millions. Will she invest that millions properly? Will she grow up to be 35 years old and say, something like Bonnie Blue? Yes, she has a body count that'll be in tens of thousands and these other showing their parts. Are they going to grow up happy? Or the minute that they hit a point where the wrinkles show up and gravity starts taking over on certain body parts, are they going to realize they're addicted to the lifestyle, the attention, the validation, the money, and that all goes away overnight? Don't you think they're going to crash out? Don't you think they're the ones that'll have to settle for a man, and they will be miserable for the rest of their lives? Where guys, yeah, okay, you spent $10 on this. I think that's a waste. I don't think you should simp for these women. Do better things with your life. But that guy, he's going to move on. He still has opportunity to find love, find a relationship. So if you value money, yeah, they're doing great. But if you value your soul, your happiness, your well-being, your mental sanity, they're the worst in society, and they're going to crash out. It just hasn't happened yet. And when they crash out, they become the fat, blue-haired feminists that are now 45 and no man wants, and they do these social causes to find meaning in their lives because no one else pays attention to them, and no one cares for them. You look at a blue-haired feminist that's 45 years old, show me a picture of her at 23, and more than likely she was probably at least average, I mean, statistically, she's going to be average. She could have found a man that would love her and take care of her and treat her well, but she wasted her life. So you're going to see a bunch of very unhappy aging women, and the younger generation that should be listening to the older generation say, I did it wrong. Feminism failed me. I don't want to work all my life. I wish I had my husband back or my family, or I wish. There's a few of them speaking now, and they don't because they get pushback. They get hated by feminists, but there's a lot of them. A former writer or actress on Sex and the City came out and said it. There's other feminist women that have come out and said it, but the younger generation doesn't listen because they say, well, I'm getting the attention and I'm getting the sex and I'm getting the money and I'm getting the fame. It will go away. Men don't have that issue. You know, if a man is happy and he's doing well for himself, he's not men aren't really, now today they're valued for their looks because, oh, I want the hot guy to sleep with him and all this other stuff. But in the real world, men don't have society to fall back on. If no one takes care of me, I am a man in the weeds. So men over time become better at taking care of themselves, less social issues, less everything else, and women become worse. And so men are going to be fine.
I think there's a lot of truth to what you're saying about the crash of a lot of these women. I think it's going to be brutal. I actually think it's going to be really brutal because they're going to want to mass delete the TikToks. It's just, they're not going to be able to take a lot of this back. They're burning their value down. Because what makes men valuable, what makes women valuable is obviously very different. And what would be really valuable in a woman would be having self-respect, right? Preserving the sanctity of her body, her mind, her spirit, not spreading it for everybody just because, not making money off something like this, not being degenerate, being selective, having her morals intact. All of these things are just, you can't grow it back. Some of these women, they'll say, oh, I can basically grow back my virginity. No, honey, you can't. And you also can't grow back, all of the purity you had and all this damage is now accrued in your system that you're not going to be able to get rid of. So I think there's a lot of truth in that. I am just a little concerned about how, because it's not just the Bonnie Blues and the Camillas. Yes, those people are making bank right now, but there's the average girl with the embellishments they can do, filters and this and that and the hair extensions and all, is just getting so much attention online that women as a group are now, especially these young women, are completely disillusioned. And too many guys have bought the story. So it doesn't only take, yes, it takes time, right? Time will catch up with these women. Time will balance some of this out. But it also takes guys getting out of this mindset. Like, I'm so tired of listening to male feminists. I can't stand listening to it. It's so insufferable and wimpy and gross to listen to these guys just deflate behind talking points that have been administered through, mainstream media or wherever it is, that is just feminist garbage. So it's like a deprogramming. I say like a deprogramming needs to happen in these women. And I speak to these women. I say, do you realize what you're doing? Like, you're not going to be able to put the gift back in the box. Like, I speak to them, but I also speak to these guys. Like, wake up. You know what I mean? Stop echoing this nonsense. And I think there needs to be like a deprogramming on both sides where people just start realizing that these little chips, these feminist chips that are in a lot of guys, a lot of women, even the conservative women, and I have had that conversation a lot. It needs to be gutted, right? So that guys can then assert, this is what I care about, and this is not attractive, and why am I wasting my time on you? I could be at the gym right now, or I could be making money right now. Why am I giving time to some girl who I'm not going to give a shit about in 5 minutes, and I'm only propping up her ego and giving her cash? What is the end game in that for me? All of that needs to be essentially broken down, and like, I feel like the house needs to knock down and be rebuilt from the bottom up. I want to play Drew Afwalo. Do you know who that is by any chance?
Not familiar.
Okay. She became famous on TikTok. Very, very overt feminist. I would call her, like many have called her, a man hater. You'll hear for yourself, make your own judgment. I want to play her. This is number 4, Ben, and just listen to what she says the quiet part out loud, which I think is really important because she says what I think a lot of women in the feminist space, be they liberal or conservative, really feel on the inside. Let's play that and get Joker's reaction.
The inherent fact that men are evil, that is true. Like, man as a whole is evil. Like, just as an entity, a general idea, men have inflicted violence and oppression on the world in ways that are irreparable. Like, it's okay if we say that out loud. It's okay if we say that men are inherently evil. It's like, it's not all men, but for some reason, always a man. Every time something terrible happens, always a man, like 99% of the time. So I feel like it's a lot simpler than people may think. I don't hate my man, I hate most men. And for me, I think given what men have done to me personally, to people I love, and the world as a whole, if they all start guilty and have to work their way to innocent, it's not really a big deal to me. I feel very like convicted in that. It's very like, if you're not awful, prove it.
Yeah.
Quit talking about it and do it. Because the men who complain that they really hate hearing like, oh, what about all men? Oh, all men. A lot of this, not a lot of action.
Okay. So she does not mince words. Men are evil. They are violent. They are inherently evil. The underlying message, of course, is don't trust a man. Be afraid of a man. Don't you dare lean on a man. She even goes as far as to say that they should be guilty until proven innocent because they've wrecked the world essentially and they're these dangerous beings. Of course, it's interesting. She has a boyfriend. I don't hate my man. Honey, yes, you do. Deep down inside, yes, you do, because you can't make these blanket statements about men and then make an exception for your. Maybe he's a doormat. He puts up with you, so obviously there's something wrong with him. But you do have an inner hatred of him. You have an inner hatred of all men. So I want to get your reaction to what she said. But also, is there any planet on which these women are changing? And are they super prevalent? Is this the norm? Is this what feminists really feel on the inside, Joker?
It's becoming the norm. I'll ask this much. I don't know if I think that was on TikTok. I heard the TikTok ding at the end. Okay, I'm gonna put out a video. I hate women. All women are evil. Oh, nope, he's removed off the platform. He's gone. He can't talk about it. That's how we are. So it's okay to crap on men on TikTok. It's okay to hate, literally say, I hate men. All men should be ended, whatever. That can be spread in media. If a man said the same thing, he'd be called a misogynist. There'd be news stories about him. Oh, he's the worst thing ever. So you're only hearing really the crazy women. Are there crazy guys out there? Sure there are. Of course there are. But you're only hearing the crazy women because the crazy men are removed from social media. They're kind of removed from the cycle. Number two, I would probably bet money on this. I'm not a betting man, but I bet she didn't have a positive father in her life. I bet she didn't have any positive male mentors. I bet she doesn't have any good brothers. You know, this is a woman that again, they say all men. Is she talking about the nice guy down at the janitor at the college she goes to that helps students out, or maybe no?
I think she is. I think she is.
I disagree. I think she only thinks of the men that she's slept with, she's interacted with, and because let's face it, let's say there's a really sweet janitor that's nice to her. And she's walking down the hall. He says, oh, let me do X, Y, Z. Let me get that out of your way. Let me clean that up for you. He's subhuman. She doesn't even register that as a man. It's just, well, this is whatever you are. I don't even care. And if she does think all men are evil and everything else, does that affect me? Is my life worse because a woman like that hates me? No. And so I don't care. And that's the great mindset that I think more young men need to find. Let her spit her venom. She sounds really unhappy and angry. And is she ever going to find happiness and angry? No, this boyfriend will end up hating her just as much as the others because she's such a bitter, hateful person. But a man that's got his life together and is doing okay, he doesn't care what, the people getting all up in arms about, we need to fight back against. Why do you care? If your life is super good and you've got a lot great going for you, who cares what people like this say?
Well, I'll tell you why they care, because she has a huge following, right? So she spews this venom to a boatload of women who then listen and then spew that venom. It's like a domino effect, right? And what these guys are saying is the pool is getting smaller and smaller. So for men who say, as part of what I want in my life, I want a family, I want a wife, I want these things are really valuable to me. They're looking around and saying the pool of women that I would actually consider worth it and would make me happy and would bring something to the table I value and wouldn't be spewing this feminist garbage is increasingly getting smaller and smaller. So I think they're in a position of like, how do I fight back? Because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do about these shrinking numbers and this pool. And now I would say, well, stop giving the wrong women time. Get your life together, show that you have a life, have, a good job, have your finances in order, be happy with yourself, get to the gym, be happy with your body, whatever it is that brings you happiness, solidify that first. Don't give attention to the wrong girls. and then you will attract the women that you seek, right? But I am extremely compassionate to the fact that these videos are everywhere. They're all over. TikTok is flooded. We got flagged, to your point. I got flagged we have an intro tease that goes into my show. And I said something like a woman had said openly, oh, I slept with, and I always say nasty. I said nasty, and we titled it like Nasty Woman Admits to, that got flagged as bullying. This that she has out there is not deemed bullying. Andrew Tate got flagged initially because he was labeled a misogynist. That was the only reason he got flagged initially. People say, oh, this video. No, all that stuff came after. Initially, he was a misogynist. This woman is outright saying men are evil, and she's not flagged. So this is the world guys find themselves in. And I think the reason they say, what am I going to do, is because they're so tired of going out on Friday and Saturday night or whatever. And the pool of women that looks like Drew Rollo is growing. And they're like, how do I unfold? Like, how do I undo it? You know?
You don't. I mean, if you have an arterial wound, you get a cut across the jugular and gallons are coming out. Do you think a little Band-Aid on that is going to slow things down? These women are not going to listen to men. They don't respect men. They don't care what men say until it comes to the guy they find super hot they want to sleep with. They don't care what men say. They don't care what society says, because this generation, or at least the last generation, starting with the millennials moving onward, it's in vogue, as I've said earlier. It's on vogue to say men are bad. It's popular to crap on society, men like this. It's popular to crap on capitalism and conservatism and trad wives, and they have this wonderful big movement. And not only is it social media, it again goes back to the schools. It's in our government. I mean, our previous government was telling people to hire people based on immutable characteristics like skin color or gender or sexual preference or whatever. And they tried to make this policy. So do you think you're going to wander in as a man and say, I don't like you saying this? You're going to get laughed out of the room. This woman she's the end of the road. She's where the dirt meets the grass when it comes to the road. You can't put a Band-Aid on an arterial wound. You've got to start going backwards and saying, where is this coming from? Because now it's ingrained. It's part of her life. It's part of her thinking. It is part of who she is. You have to start going backwards and saying, where is this coming from? We go back in education. We go back in single mothers. You have to go back in time. No one's going to change her mind. She's done. There's no life event that is going to correct her. She's done. Many of the women that listen to her and agree with her, they're done. You're never bringing them back into the fold. She's never going to be a trad wife. She's never going to stop sleeping with men. They're not going to stop going on social media for validation. You don't stop it. So how do we reverse this trend as a guy? This is why I say all the power is in men's control. And I don't want to get too much into politics. I know that's not really the course here, but there was a story that just came out the other day. The Democrats are spending $20 million here in the United States to try to learn how to talk to men again. Mm-hmm. Why do you not know how to talk to men? It's half the population. It's because they've lost that voter block because they're so anti-male. Well, when it's this much of a systemic problem, as a man, there's only one way you can fix this as a singular unit. You can rage against the machine. You can post counter content online. You can do all these things. I've been doing it for 5 years. I've got, hundreds of millions of views on my content. Have I changed anything in society? No, only so far as the men that listen to this type of content and have a mind shift of their own to say, I'm not going to fix this. I'm not going to find these women. I'm not going to correct this problem. I need to look out for myself. Like the barn is burning down. I'm grabbing my horse and I'm leaving. And those men that do that, they don't worry about what people think about them. They don't worry about what society thinks about them. They don't worry about any of this. They vote what's for their best interest, and they're going to learn how to manage their own lives without women, without government, without being handheld. They're going to be the toughest group of men you've ever seen. And then, and only then, when we have enough of a pushback against this problem, will other men see it. And maybe they don't. Maybe this just stays a systemic problem. But All of this is happening because men are not stopping it. If tomorrow men just outright said, I'm not participating, I'm not liking your videos, I'm not watching them, I'm not paying your OnlyFans money, I'm not doing anything with this, I'm just going to worry about myself, all of this would collapse. It's all built upon men making bad choices.
Yeah,
but if men
it's
start
very frustrating. It's
Yeah,
very
sure.
frustrating because they could just stop it, and it would cause women would have to look at their lives differently. They'd have to behave differently. They'd have to think about what's happening. It wouldn't. Now, could they reverse the damage and revert? No, like I said, you can't put the gift back in the box for a lot of these women, but future women, right? I look at like young girls growing up in society, God, the Kardashians ruined so many women. I mean, just listening to that crap. I mean, she made her whole career by spread her legs on camera. Now everyone's like, oh, look at her makeup and her bustier that's for sale at Nordstrom. I mean, who gives a shit? Oh, man. Well, I want to thank you. This has been a great discussion. I want to give you a chance to plug your channel, tell folks where they can find you and all of that stuff. So go at it.
I am on 2 platforms and 2 platforms only because that's how I roll. I'm on YouTube at Better Bachelor, 2 words, and I'm on Rumble at Odd Man Out, where I just do all sorts of various content. So only 2 places. Oh, you can find me on X. I always forget about this. At Bachelor Joker, 1 word.
Bachelor Joker. I love it. I love that Joker, man. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Joker, for being here today. I do appreciate it. I think it was a great discussion. Audience, I want you to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. I keep forgetting to remind y'all, listen, you got to do it, man. How you think we're going to grow? I know we're only month 2, but this is all on you. If you want to see more guests like Joker, you got to hit that subscribe. Again, we've got Sterling Cooper, we've got Justin Waller, we've got Myron Gaines, we've got all the guys coming down. So it's going to be fun. So hit subscribe now. Joker, thank you so much. This is an awesome conversation. And maybe we'll have a follow-up one day. Who knows?
I'd enjoy that.
Talk soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.